What's up, everybody? Welcome to PostGame here on the Cyclone Fanatics social media feeds. Chris Williams got you solo tonight as Leah is off doing whatever she's doing. She's got some family or friend stuff, and that's cool. Iowa State wins it 20-0 over Houston, and we will break it all down for you. First, I want to thank a bunch of our sponsors who make this all possible. Of course, our friends at Raymond James, my friends Clay and Chase Natuzal. They are financial advisors who are nutty about the Cyclones. Both these guys are crazy Iowa State fans. I got to know them over the summer. Really good people who I would absolutely love to recommend to you if you're in the need of a financial advisor. Best thing you can do is go and Google their last name. It is Natuzil, Netusil. Clay and Chase, locations all around central Iowa. Also want to thank my friends over at Central States Roofing, csrroofing.com, commercial roofing company that is 100% locally owned and operated, and they are big supporters of what we do here at Cyclone Fanatic. Absolutely love those guys and all of their great support over the years. Carl Auto Group as well. Carl Auto Group. You can see my badass Chevy Silverado. The Cyclone Fanatic Chevy Silverado, and then Keen Project Solutions as well, who's been a great partner of ours over the last couple of years. So Keen Project Solutions, thank you to all of our great sponsors here on the Cyclone Fanatic postgame show. And we'll continue to tell you a little bit more, but Iowa State wins it 20-0 in a game that was really slow to start, ended better. I don't think anyone, as far as the offense goes, is going to be on that flight back and be like, man, we were really cooking tonight. It wasn't one of those type of games, but it didn't have to be. And definitely got better as it went on. But there's some things to work on with that offense. It's not hitting at full capacity right now. And Taylor Mauser and Morocco Beck and that group's going to have to sit down and figure that out. But nonetheless, you didn't need it tonight as the defense was absolutely incredible. Kind of felt like, that game in the first half, if you guys listen to any of my shows leading up to this week, that game in the first half was what I was afraid of, that Willie Fritz would just basically bleed the clock and try and junk it up and just keep Houston in the game. That's exactly what happened. But you felt like the whole night, Iowa State's got to get up 2 scores. Iowa State's got to get up 2 scores because then Houston can't just, do its quarterback run and all that garbage that they were, shoving down your throat and moderately successful. They were moving the football, but Iowa State's defense would bow up when it needed to. You needed to get up 2 scores and make Houston have to press, and then they would start turning it over, which is exactly what they did tonight. A couple of big plays. Malik Verdon punches out a fumble. Jontez Williams with an interception in the second half. Jeremiah Cooper got a junk interception there. So it was great. They did exactly what we needed Iowa State's defense to do. And then listen, the offense, it wasn't a great night for this group, but players made plays, right? Abu Sama was getting pretty heavily criticized, I thought, on the broadcast and definitely in our chat at halftime. He bounces out with a 77-yard touchdown run. That was all effort by Abu. Really happy for him. And then Jalen Jackson, right? I probably haven't talked enough. I think it's starting to surface. I think it's becoming a story now. How good of a recruiting win that was for Iowa State in December of last year, right? Because I think Iowa State could have very easily said, well, we got Dylan Lee coming in. We've got Carson Hansen and Abu Sama, 2 guys we really like. They went out and made something happen. I think it was for special teams, and then Jackson comes in, and it makes a really good impact. Really good recruiting win for Iowa State and Matt Campbell that's going to make this football team considerably better down the stretch. So big time plays by him today. I'll pull up the stats here. I haven't even looked at the stat sheet yet. So what's fun about this podcast is because I Generally, I'm doing this on the fly. Yeah, Jackson had 96 yards. He led Iowa State with 14 carries, 6.9 yards per carry. Now, Abu Sama's line is completely skewed because of that 77-yard run, but he got his first 100-yard carry or 100-yard game of the season. Do we give the offensive game ball to Jaden Higgins? I feel like you have to. Eight receptions, 79 yards. I tweeted that it was like a cheat code out there with number 9 a little bit in that second half. Felt like Iowa State probably could have gone to him more. Yeah, just a really weird first half, too, because Iowa State had the ball in poor field position quite a few times. They couldn't get into the rhythm, and they blew that team out in the second half, which is what you really wanted to see. I'm not going to nitpick a 20-0 road victory in conference too much. Now, you're going to have to play better, right? Like you go to West Virginia and play like that, you're going to have to play better. But that wasn't the case tonight. And Iowa State played the opponent in front of them and gets away with a 20-0 victory. Also, let's go to the defense. And really, I hope Freeler's okay. Went out late in that game. So did Jalen Knoll on the other end. It looked like Jalen was fine, and it was cramps. It was probably just a precautionary thing. Hufford also went out late. I took that note because that could be a pretty costly second half if all of a sudden you're down Freeler and Knoll. But I don't know anything about Freeler's deal. Guessing with his shoulder situation that they're probably just being, letting him have some rest, and there's no point in him going out there and getting injured. Okay, Jay, some people are telling me on the chat that he came back in. That's good. I missed that, guy. So thank you very much. I appreciate that note. It makes me feel better because we all know the difference in this defense when the linebackers aren't in there. But man, because they're so good right now. Like Verdon is playing at a different level. Freeler, I don't know how, but he's playing at a better. He's at a higher level now. It shows me that he was probably pretty injured last year. I thought Bo was really struggling at the end of last year, and he is really, really good right now. Across the board, the two young linebackers played much better in the second half, but they were both really good all night. And Ebel and main man Kale Brazina said this at halftime. He doesn't look like a freshman. I hesitate to get too excited because I'm biased when it comes to Kale, but I do think that he is at a level as a true freshman that is higher than AJ Klein, Jake Knott, and or Mike Rose. Does he keep ascending to be what they became? Great question. I don't know. I hope. Because if that's the case, he'll be pro after his third year. He is, I'm just saying right now, third game as a true freshman, I think he is higher than where those other guys were at that point, which is a hell of a compliment because all those dudes were really freaking good Iowa State's played a lot of true freshman linebackers over the years, but those are the three guys that always kind of come to my mind, and I think Kale is there. I also think that Cooper Ebel probably doesn't get enough headlines because he's not a first-year guy, but damn, playing really good football out there. Elsewhere, I already pointed out Verdon, the guys who won't get enough credit because their stats aren't as good, but like Dom Orange continues to have a really good year, really solid play by Dom. You should go buy his NIL T-shirt on CycloneFanaticShop.com. And John Haycock, pretty brilliant game plan from him, right? Like probably more conservative than what a lunatic like I would have been. I would have been blitzing like crazy, really hyper aggressive. But John believed in the system and laid back a little bit more than, again, like I probably would have, but it pays dividends later on. And they were just incredible. So all in all, we'll take it. I tell any of you, you're going to shut them out and win by 20. You're pretty happy with that, right? Chris Anjinga on Twitter says Iowa State gets a road shutout in conference play for the first time since 1971. 1971. There you go, Maddie. Matty Van Winks is producing the show. He asked me before, when was the last conference shutout? And in my mind, it was Kansas 2011.
And Dringa's saying that was the first road shutout since 1971. I don't know about. I know, homie, you're right. Kansas.
They beat
that cold
Kansas
game
24
was,
to nothing. Grant Rohach starting that game. 11, I think it was 11 or
If anyone
13,
else can think of another one, put it in the chat.
Maybe. Yeah. The other big one tonight is Matt Campbell clears the Dan McCarney hurdle, the winningest coach in history. And I also want to point out, first time Iowa State's been 4-0 since September 30th, 2000 or the year 2000. Maddie, if you don't mind pulling up my tweet, because I want to show our friends who are all watching the Three Doors Down and the Remember the Titans. Sorry, we're doing this all on the fly. Yeah, so at the last time Iowa State football was 4-0, Kryptonite by Three Doors Down was the number one song in America. And the Remember the Titans movie with Denzel Washington was the number one movie in America. Hey, good one, Hoops guy. We've got a couple of these here. Texas 24-0. That was a Paul Rhodes game. Good one. And then I forgot about this one. And I was actually the sideline reporter for this one. I was filling in for Bruns. They beat Kansas State 45-0 that COVID year. So that would have been 2020. Look at you guys. You guys are good. Yeah, that should probably have it covered, though. I mean, these conference shutouts do not happen very often. So, listen, here's the deal. That was not a perfect game, okay? I was telling my niece's volleyball team this the other night after I watched them play. They're a good team, ranked in state. They beat a team 3-0. It was a good win, but they didn't play very well. In which, what I was telling them, I was like, guys, you should be really happy because you're not going to play your best every night, right? Like, you're not. And you still beat a team 3-0. Iowa State, what was it, like a C game on offense? I honestly, was it? Maybe a C plus because of what you did at the end with the big runs and stuff. But it wasn't a great game. But you didn't make the big mistakes. You didn't have the big stupid turnovers, right? You had some dumb penalties, but it wasn't like, the first half of that Iowa game where you just have one after another after another. You didn't do the big whiff that gave this underdog a shot to beat you, because it never felt like Iowa State had a shot to lose the game tonight. And if you play that way, and that's fine. They'll make adjustments. They'll get better, right? And good win. Good win the way that ended out. Because I would give them an A on defense tonight and a C on offense, I think is where I would probably go with it. And I don't think I'm being too hard on them. I think that, Rocco, at some point, Rocco's got to look himself in the mirror, and I'm sure he's doing it because I know how hard on himself he is. And he's got to be better out of the gate. Really, that's where this all comes down to. Because if Iowa State gets up on that team 7-0, gets to 10-0 early, I think Iowa State blows this team out because I think Houston's turning the football over. That defense can really feast on these quarterbacks that can't throw, but they're going to want to put them out there to do so because they're down multiple scores. So they've got to find a way to get out better on offense. And if they can do that, this team's, ceiling gets a lot higher. They should do that. And this is a little bit why, too. It's like, man, it's nice to have all your tough games at the end of the year. And you can work some of these things out. Like these young linebackers are getting phenomenal experience against not very good offenses where they can make some mistakes and it's not going to lose you the football game. So good win tonight. A couple other notes that I took. Jalen Travis, the offensive lineman, started at tackle, I believe, played the entire game at left tackle. So good to see 72 out there finally. And you could see why they were slow playing him to get him healthy. So Iowa State could, have him for conference play. Baylor is up next. The Bears, it's going to be really crazy. I mean, I'm assuming Dave Aranda is going to be the head coach next week, but they got down 21-0 fast to BYU today. They came back, made it a really good football game. So they haven't clearly quit on him yet, but this is a reeling Baylor team coming into Jack Trice Stadium next Saturday night, which will be a whiteout game We have all of our whiteout stuff, our Cyclones versus the world, and our retro logo stuff for you. If you order that at CycloneFanaticShop.com, I believe by like tomorrow-ish, you'll be for sure to get it for the game. But that is, again, available right now at CycloneFanaticShop.com. Want to also thank our friends at Cyclones2Ireland.com, the official Cyclone Ireland tour. If you are going to Ireland to watch Iowa State and Kansas State next summer, I encourage you to go to Cyclones2Ireland.com. Take a look at all the great travel packages that are up there. And you can all sorts of great options. There's like multiple different days. There's different towns you can go to, all that cool stuff. Cyclones 2, that is the number 2, Ireland.com. Iowa State wins it 20-0 in a, I don't know. I was never worried about the game. I was slightly concerned because I've watched so many Willie Fritz games when he was at Tulane, okay? Y'all listen to me, you know they're like one of my favorite teams. And I love Willie Fritz, think he's a great coach. I was somewhat concerned at halftime because I was like, this is what he does. But again, it just felt like Iowa State, it was just a matter of time before they were going to pull away. And luckily tonight they did. And Matt Campbell makes history. Cyclones make history. And you move on to next week 4-0. Depending on what else happens around the country, could be in the top 15 next week. Going this week 18, you could be in the top 15. So we'll see what happens here in the next 24 hours as far as the rankings go. But Iowa State's in a good spot, really good spot. Couldn't ask for anything better right now. Hell yeah. Clones roll 20-0. Thanks to Matt Van Winkle for stepping in and producing tonight. He is my go-to man. And we will be back, Williams and Bloom. Whenever Bloom gets back from Houston, hopefully he doesn't have any flight delays or anything like that. We'll be recording tomorrow night whenever Bloom gets back and give you a full breakdown of this game, and we'll start to look ahead to next week in the Big 12. So thanks to Matt Van Winkle again. My name is Chris Williams. Thanks to all of you for hanging out with us here after the game. Iowa State wins it over Houston 20-0. Appreciate you all. And we'll be back with Williams and Bloom on Sunday night here on the Cyclone Fanatic Podcast Network.